independent. Better recognize I'm a king's descendant. If they wish to end us, then I bring the vengeance. You can't buy me with your rings of pendants, cause I'm independent. Better recognize I'm a king's descendant. If they wish to end us, then I bring the vengeance. You can't buy me with your rings of pendants. DIY gang, 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 DIY gang.
Hello and welcome to the DIY Gang Guide, your independent guide to the music industry. I'm Shao, but you should already know that. So today, I want to talk to you about rough recordings. Now, I've mentioned this in the past, especially in regards to preparing for the studio, how it's important to do a rough recording of the track that you want to record in order to hear it, in order to get used to it, in order to have an opportunity to practice, so that when you go to the studio, you know pretty much what you're doing down to a T, and it's just a case of going through the motions and banging it out in the best way possible. And I believe rough recordings really help you with that. And now the great thing about making a rough recording is you don't need a lot in terms of software, and you definitely don't need a lot in terms of knowledge. So I wanted to show you real quick how I do rough recordings and how they've kind of benefited me in the songs that I've made. So we're going to switch over to my laptop. I'm going to show you live on screen how I do it. So let's go.
Okay, so here we go. This is my first time doing a screen recording like this, so allow me, y'all. But it won't be the last time, so let's see how this works. So yeah, as I was saying, here is GarageBand. It's really, really simple, very easy to use. It doesn't take a lot to learn how to use this. I'll show you very quickly at the end. But the point is, I'm trying not to restrict myself in terms of making these rough recordings. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible so that I can just get it done quickly. I use the microphone on my Mac. I really should use a better microphone, but again, well, I don't really have an excuse, I just don't. But the microphone on my Mac is not great. The whole point of this is to just be able to hear what it is I'm doing, what I want to do with it, etc, etc. So today we're going to use an example of a track that you may or may not know, Katana Flow. It's a good example because there's a couple points that I want to talk to you about this. So without further ado, I'll show you how the rough recording sounded before I did the full thing.
No, take a better set up his neck like Rasputin. Who told you you could talk to me? Stupid dickhead, betters are quick to get new. Bar so hard when it hits him, it bruises. Neck brace, head aches and contusions. Check the face and you'll see the confusion, cause them guys bet I was fake, now they're losing. I got clothes for them, see I could have been a lawyer if I chose a pen. I evolve for the goals that I scope for when the closed doors in my face, I just open them. Better I know my strength, now I go for the soul and there's no defense. I like a pack of rabbit dogs, call me Doberman. I'm on.
So yeah, that's the rough recording. Now it's really important, a couple points that I wanted to bring up on this that I learned from doing this rough recording. Number one, if you know the song well, I said in this version, I'm like a pack of rabid dogs, call me Doberman. When I heard that, when I wrote it, it seemed fine, but when I heard it, it didn't flow off the tongue well enough, and I changed it in the final version. I think it's I'm a pack of wild dogs, call me Doberman. And those little things, when you actually hear it recorded, it becomes so much more real. And perhaps I would have gone to the studio, recorded Rabid, and then thought, oh no, you know what, I don't like that, let me book another session, let me go back in. So that saved me time, that saved me money. There's other little things which may seem minor, but for me, and I think for any artist, are really important, such as the background shouts, the ha and the whoo, and all of that. Those kind of things really add just a little bit more personality to the track. And whilst I feel that they should always be quite spontaneous and not too overly planned, there are times where I will think, okay, this sounds good here, that sounds good here. For instance, one bit that I really like, I think it's about here. Let me see if I can get this.
Bar so hard when it hits him, it bruises. Neck brace, head aches and contusions. Check the face and you'll see the confusion, cause them guys bet I was fake, now they're losing. I got clothes for
that part. I really liked that when I did it, and it was very spontaneous and natural when I did it on the rough recording, but I liked it enough to translate that over to the full recording. And in fact, let's listen to how different it sounds when it's fully recorded. About here, I think.
I was staring at the moon when I'm here. Yeah. Take a better head off his neck like Rasputin. Who told you you could talk to me? Stupid dickhead, betters are quick to get new. Bar so hard when it hits him, it bruises. Neck brace, head aches and contusions. Check the face and you'll see the confusion, cause them guys bet I was fake, now they're losing. I got flows for them, see I could have been a lawyer.
So as you can hear, that really became quite a central part of what I was doing with that particular space in the verse. Because I liked it so much and because I heard it in the rough recording. So, and then let's move on.
I ever chose a pen, never go for the goals that I scope and win. They close doors in my face, I just open them. Bread, I know my strength, so I go for the front and there's no defense. I'm like a pack of wild dogs, call me Doberman. I'm on gas.
So as you can hear, I think the wild really came out a lot better in comparison to the rabid. Let's go back again. About here.
I go for the goals that I scope and win. They close doors in my face, I just open them. Bread, I know my strength. Now I go for the front and there's no defense. I'm like a pack of rabbit dogs, call me Doberman. I'm on.
So you see, it sounds okay, but to me, it just sounded a bit much. There was a lot of syllables in there. So those little tweaks are what really makes a difference, and that allowed me to prepare myself enough to be ready for the studio. So when I went in there, I was a lot more confident with what I was doing. I think that came across in the voice, even down to the tone of voice I used. I mean, in the rough recording, it's a lot higher, you know, it's a lot more up here. In the rough recording, it's like down just a little bit more, it's a little lower in tone. You know, there's a little bit more aggressiveness in it, but it's also quite laid back. And all of those things are things that I think about when I'm listening to this rough recording. How do I want to deliver this? How do I want people to perceive me when they hear this track? All of that is incredibly vital. And these are things that you should think about and things that a rough recording will help you achieve. And yeah, so that's really vital. Even down to the hook. So with the hook, when I felt
I'm sharper than flesh for armor, so you don't want none, stay in pajamas, bro. This is my katana flow. If I draw my sword, call it karma, bro. I bring the action if they want the drama, so with a...
As you can hear, it's different the second time around to how we have.
Smart sound, this is my katana flow. I made it still sing a sonata, though. I'm sharper than flesh, bone and armor, so you don't want none, stay in your pajamas, bro. This is my katana flow. If I draw my sword, call it karma, bro. I bring the action if they want the drama, so with the mic on the hunt to my harmor flow.
We added a singer on there specifically because after I recorded the rough recording, and I normally do this, I send it over to the producer of the track. This was phase 2 on this one. I sent him the beat and the rough recording and let him have a listen to it. And he said something along the lines of, the hook sounds good, but the second time it comes around, it loses a bit of energy. It sounds a little bit boring after a while. And I agreed with him. So we added the singer based on the fact that we'd heard the rough recording and made a joint decision that, okay, we need to keep the energy up during this chorus because it's a long chorus. It comes around twice. There's a lot going on in there. And I wanted to really intensify that. And I think adding the singer was the right choice on that. But I wouldn't have thought of that had I not done the rough recording. Be very, very careful with your rough recordings. Now, mine do not sound good in any stretch of the imagination because of the microphone predominantly. I can't really go wild with it because the mic will start peaking all over the place, so I'm always quite subdued with my rough recordings. Now, if you send that to somebody who doesn't really know that this is a rough recording, doesn't know a lot about music, they're going to hear that and instantly think, okay, this doesn't sound good. No matter how well you're rapping on it, just to an average listener, it doesn't sound good. So be very careful with who you share your rough recordings with. And if you share it with them, just make them know that this is a rough recording because you might get negative feedback which will adversely affect how you feel about the overall track just simply because of the quality. This is assuming that you're doing a similar recording to me. If you've got a good mic, then it might be different, but if it's just a very rough recording, then just be very careful. I mainly just send it to my producer, the person who's made the beat, and you know, phase 2, he's gotten a lot of rough recordings from me, so he knows exactly how the rough recording sounds, so he doesn't take that into account when he's listening to the track. He just listens to what I'm saying and how I'm delivering it as opposed to the quality, and that's really important. So yeah, moving on to another track I wanted to highlight. This time